Welcome back to Zero Hour Radio. The clock is turning, the shadows are stretching, and tonight, we are tuning our frequency to the most infamous, universally feared coordinates in paranormal history, 112 Ocean Avenue. For decades, the name Amityville has been synonymous with pure, unadulterated, cinematic terror. But behind the Hollywood movies lies a staggering, complex web of mass murder. It's a psychological breakdown and an inventory of paranormal horrors that took place in the dead of winter. Turn down your lights, lock your doors from the inside, and let's enter the house with the bleeding walls. Asterisk. To understand the suffocating dread that blankets the Amityville story, we must first confront a horrific, undeniable historical truth. Long before it was a ghost story, it was a brutal, cold-blooded crime scene. On the freezing, rainy night of November 13, 1974, a quiet, upscale suburban neighborhood in Long Island, New York was shattered. Inside a beautiful, three-story Dutch colonial home, 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr. walked quietly from room to room, carrying a high-powered Marlin rifle. Methodically, with cold, military-like precision, he executed his mother, his father, and his 4 younger siblings as they slept face down in their beds. Here is the first deeply shocking anomaly that baffled forensic investigators. All 6 victims were found in the exact same position, lying flat on their stomachs with their heads resting on their arms. No one woke up. No one screamed. Neighbors heard nothing, despite a high-caliber rifle firing 6 unsilenced shots into the midnight quiet. Autopsies later proved the family had not been drugged. It was as if a heavy, unnatural, paralyzing silence had descended upon the home, freezing the victims in place. When police interrogators demanded to know why he did it, DeFeo rocked back and forth, staring blankly into the corner, and uttered the words that would birth a legend. Once I started, I just couldn't stop. The voices in the house? They told me to do it. They handed me the gun. DeFeo was locked away for life, leaving the beautiful house on Ocean Avenue completely empty, waiting for its next victims. Asterisk, 13 months after the gruesome mass murder. The house was put on the market at a drastically slashed price. Entered George and Kathy Lutz, a young, ambitious couple looking for a fresh start with their 3 children. Fully aware of the dark history of the property, they believed they could separate the tragic past from their bright future, purchasing the estate for a mere $80,000, but the nightmare began before the moving boxes were even unpacked. Sensing an immediate heavy atmospheric gloom, Kathy requested a Catholic priest, Father Ralph Pecoraro, to come and bless the home. As the priest walked up the stairs into the second-floor bedroom where the DeFeo boys had been slaughtered, he splashed holy water into the air. Instantly, the temperature in the room plummeted to a bone-chilling sub-zero frost. Out of nowhere, a swarm of hundreds of black houseflies materialized against the window pane in the dead of December. Before the priest could escape, an invisible, disembodied, masculine voice rasped directly into his ear, whispering a single, chilling command: "Get out." Terrified and physically ill, the priest fled, warning the Lutzes never to use that room. They didn't listen. Within days, a psychological rot began to fester inside the family. George Lutz, previously a cheerful, well-groomed business owner, transformed into a brooding, angry phantom. He stopped shaving, refused to leave the house, and became completely obsessed with stoking the basement fireplace, claiming an unnatural, deep-seated cold was radiating from the very foundations of the structure. Asterisk, as the winter nights grew longer, the paranormal manifestations escalated from subtle psychological shifts into terrifying physical assaults on reality. George Lutz began experiencing a disturbing nocturnal glitch every single night, without fail. His eyes would snap open at exactly 3:15 a.m., the precise time the coroner estimated the DeFeo family had been executed. When he walked the dark hallways at this cursed hour, he reported seeing the distinct, glowing red eyes of a demonic creature staring at him through the window. The youngest daughter, Missy, began spending all her time talking to an invisible companion she called Jodie, a malevolent, shape-shifting entity that she claimed looked like a giant demonic pig with glowing eyes. The physical house itself seemed to turn biological and hostile. A thick, foul-smelling green gelatinous slime began to ooze spontaneously from the keyholes, electrical outlets, and baseboards of the walls. Heavy ceramic ornaments were violently ripped from tables. In an ancient hidden room in the basement, painted completely in blood red, began radiating a stench of rotting flesh so intense it made the family vomit. Kathy Lutz was waking up with severe, painful physical welts and unexplained chemical burns on her skin. And on several horrifying occasions, George looked across the bed to see his wife temporarily transformed into a withered, 90-year-old hag, her face contorting in the pale moonlight. The house wasn't just haunted. It was actively consuming the sanity and physical bodies of the people trapped inside its walls. On January 14th, 1976, just 28 days after moving in, the psychological pressure cooker finally exploded. To this day, the Lutz family refuses to speak in detail about what transpired on that final, horrific night. They would only say that the manifestations became so violent, so visually catastrophic, that they fled the home in terror in the middle of a raging winter storm. They left everything behind: their clothing, their furniture, their children's toys, and their food still sitting in the pantry. They never stepped foot inside 112 Ocean Avenue ever again. In the decades that followed, the Amityville Horror exploded into a global media phenomenon, sparking a fierce, aggressive debate that divides researchers to this day. William Weber, Ronald DeFeo's defense attorney, later confessed in a shocking interview that he, George, and Kathy had created this horror story over many bottles of wine, hoping to secure a massive book deal and potentially land DeFeo a new trial based on demonic possession. Skeptics pointed out that subsequent owners of the house lived there for decades with absolutely zero paranormal experiences. Yet, until their dying days, George and Kathy Lutz took multiple independent lie detector tests administered by world-class polygraph experts, and they passed every single one. They died maintaining that the terror was real. Whether it was a brilliant, calculated financial hoax or a genuine, malevolent psychic parasite born from the blood of a mass murder, the legacy of Amityville remains unchanged. It is the ultimate warning that sometimes the walls do talk and they scream. Asterisk the eye-shaped windows of 112 Ocean Avenue still look out over the dark water, keeping their ultimate secrets locked inside the wood and stone. For now, this frequency goes silent. If this descent into the heart of the Amityville nightmare left you checking the locks on your doors, don't let our signal fade. Smash that like button. Share this broadcast with fellow horror enthusiasts. And make sure to turn on that notification bell so you never miss a midnight drop. This is 0 Hour Radio, signing off. Until the next 0 hour, sleep with the lights on.